So it needs, they're permitted to sell with takeout food orders up to 750 milliliter bottles of.
Liquid plus food.
Yeah,
Oh, it must be more like a restaurant.
yeah. Good evening, everyone. Calling this meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, April 10th, 2024. It is 5:43. We are starting the special committee on state legislative affairs. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Chairman John Gonzalez,
Present.
Vice Chairman Justin Reyes,
Present.
Councilwoman Sherry Peterson is absent, Councilwoman Ana Vargas is absent, Councilwoman Althea Grace.
Present.
We have 3 present, 2 absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So I just want to thank you both for being here and for all that you do. I also want to acknowledge Assistant City Solicitor Skolnick for joining us this evening, and also Christopher Rodriguez, the confidential executive assistant for the City Council, helped us prepare for this meeting. So thank you very much for all that you do. And we'll read number 1 to the record.
Item number 1, resolution endorsing and urging passage by the General Assembly of House Bill 2024 H-7062, an act relating to towns and cities zoning ordinances.
Okay, so just to sort of set the floor here, I see Allie Steinberg is online, I'm assuming from One Neighborhood Builders. This is not a public hearing. I know you're out listening, but I just wanted to clarify that we will be going over the agenda items this evening. It will be an opportunity for committee members to discuss, and then we'll vote on some of these matters to be referred to the entire City Council. So this item is House Bill 7062. This act would amend several sections of law relating to the zoning ordinance to provide uniform zoning standards for accessory dwelling units. This act would take effect upon passage, so the General Assembly is working to enhance the accessibility of what we call ADUs, or accessory dwelling units, by relaxing zoning restrictions, thereby addressing the housing crisis. It explicitly prohibits the utilization of ADUs for transient purposes, including rentals through housing platforms such as Airbnb. So this is something that I know we spoke about at the prior meeting. There were some council members who were a little hesitant about moving this forward to the full council. And I think this is probably one that will need additional conversation. I know that people across the board are, again, feeling hesitant about what this will mean for their individual neighborhoods. So would be happy to continue chatting about this matter, or we can simply continue this item to a future meeting.
I make a motion to continue.
Great, so we'll make a motion to continue item number 1. That motion is made by Councilor Graves, seconded by Councilor Royce. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Move on to item number 2.
Item number 2, resolution endorsing and urging passage by the General Assembly of House Bill 2024 H-7057, an act relating to public property and works contractors bonds.
So this is introduced by Representative Cruz in the General Assembly, specifically the House. This act would provide that upon application and good cause, that the state may waive the bonding requirement for certain minority business enterprises or women-owned businesses, and would amend the timeframe of procedure for payment by prime contractors to minority business enterprise subcontractors. So discussion on this matter. Councilor Royce.
Chair, I don't, need this city solicitor could help me on this. What do they mean when they refer to the bonding requirement? What is the bonding requirement?
Where are you looking, Councilman?
Number two, it says the state may waive the bonding requirement for certified minority business enterprises.
I do know that on certain, city contracts, there's a, requirement that a contractor post a bond, to, cover the amount of the contract. If, for instance, the company goes out of business, that may be what this is referring to, but, I haven't totally had time to review this legislation, so that's just my best guess, and I would have to get back to you with further research if you wanted me to do that.
Sure. I'll also say, Representative Cruz introduced it, so it's usually a good sign.
Mhm. Absolutely. Councilor Graves?
I'm sorry. I think we should go on with this because let's face it, they've gotten rid of, burning back. And this is where that would have fallen under. We have.
To your point, this would help some of these women minority owned contractors that are involved in some of this work. So is there a motion?
I'll motion to continue.
So a motion to continue this matter or to approve
Oh,
this
no,
matter?
I'm sorry, motion to approve.
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
Okay, so motion to approve by Councilor Boyce, seconded by Councilor Graves. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, the ayes have it, so motion to approve to the entire city council, that will be the recommendation to the council. Item number 3.
Item number 3, resolution endorsing and urging passage by the General Assembly of House Bill 2024 H-7841 and Senate Bill 2024 S-2735, an act relating to alcoholic beverage retail license.
So this is a matter of process. The state House and also the Senate like to see a resolution from the local body to say we're in support of issuing a liquor license. So this act exempts the property located at 94 Carpenter Street in Providence from the general law prohibiting liquor licenses within a certain proximity to schools or churches. It aims to allow a BV license at 94 Carpenter Street on Plat 29, Lot 278 of the applicable city of Providence tax assessment map. And this act takes effect upon passage. So essentially what would happen is this resolution gets transmitted to the House and the Senate. They would still have to pass a bill both on the House and the Senate side before one is able to obtain their liquor license. So it's a partnership between city and state government before this actually moves forward. Councilor Graves?
I would like to know, this is a restaurant, because like Councilman Rice was questioning the proximity of the schools and the churches being stated there. And then we found out that it had something to do with, food and liquor. So if it's a restaurant, then I can understand it, but if it's just a bar that may possibly cook something in that room, I don't know. So is there any way you can look it up and find out if this is,
So personally, I don't know all of the details to this particular resolution, but I'm making the assumption
Yes,
that, so council president put this in. I'm assuming that she has discussed this with the local business as well as the representative here in this area. So I would defer to her judgment. Obviously, this would be in the proximity of a local school or church. That's why they're seeking this exemption. But again, I trust the judgment of the council president, and I'm sure she's had those conversations with local stakeholders. This liquor license and of course, this exemption. So Councilor Royce?
I'm just checking.
If I may, Chair, I also, believe that the council president, had conversations with the community, with the Representative Lombardi on this. So I feel comfortable when the time is right to motion to approve.
So motion made by Councilor Royce. Do you want to take a little bit more time, Councilor Royce, before seconding?
I'm looking. Yeah, this looks like a restaurant.
So 94 Carpenter Street. Mhm.
Yes, I'm fine.
So motion made by Councilor Royce to approve.
Seconded.
And seconded by Councilor Grace. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. The next resolution is also in support of exempting the real property located at Assessor's Plat 17 Lot 487, 79 High Street to consider or allow Class B liquor license at said premise. This is in my ward, so I can speak to this. So the restaurant owner is also the restaurant owner of another local establishment that we haven't received any complaints about. And they are actually right across the street from Gardner Boarding School. This is actually further from the school, and it's close to the Boys and Girls Club. Before moving forward with this, I had asked that the parties had conversations with all of the local stakeholders before I personally felt comfortable with moving forward with this. They spoke to the executive director at the Boys and Girls Club. She didn't have any objections. She did wage some concerns about parking, which the restaurant owner did reassure her about. So this is a restaurant that would allow for liquor on its premise. Those concerns were taken into account by the restaurant owner, and they did assure the Boys and Girls Club that they wouldn't see parking on their premise. The applicant also had conversations with the Gardner Boarding School, so the principal, as well as some local residents there. So this is actually right across the street from the Fox Point Manor. They did a community meeting with some of the residents there, and they heard about the concept here. This is going to be an establishment that it's going to have subs and then sort of an upscale kind of establishment, but also serves families in the area. And they also had conversations with the Boys and Girls Club, the school, the Fox Point Manor, and the library. So the Fox Point Library is across the street, and I received a letter from the library also sharing that they did not have any objections based on the plans that were presented to them. So I feel comfortable with this, and given the fact that they had conversations with all those local stakeholders, they heard about the concept, they heard about the what they're proposing here, and the fact that it won't undermine quality of life for some of those residents. I personally feel comfortable about this, but of course want to open it up for discussion from council members.
So this hasn't been introduced, because I don't see a number attached to it.
Yes, correct. So the sponsors in the House and the Senate preferred that we passed a resolution from the city council before they move forward with filing their bills at the General Assembly.
All right, well, I appreciate the,
Oh, yeah, Councilor Roy, sorry.
I appreciate the clarity on this. Happy to move forward with a motion to approve.
So motion to approve item number 4 by Councilor Royce, seconded by Councilor Graves. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 5.
Item number 5, resolution endorsing and urging passage by the General Assembly of House Bill 2024 H 7373 and Senate Bill 2024 S-2202, an act relating to criminal offenses weapons.
So this is House Bill 7373 and Senate Bill 2202. This act requires safe storage of firearms and provides civil and criminal penalties for violations. It also adds rifles and shotguns to the type of firearms that require a trigger lock to be included with purchase. Firearm dealers are required to post informational signs regarding safe storage, and this takes effect upon passage. So this is essentially the Safe Storage Act that is in both the House and the Senate, and it's to address some of the issues that we've been seeing broadly in our country around gun violence, but also lack of safe storage laws as it relates to firearms.
I make a motion that we pass.
Motion to approve by Councilor Graves,
Second.
seconded by Councilor Boyes. Any further discussion before we vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 6.
Item number 6, resolution endorsing and urging passage by the General Assembly of House Bill 2024 H-7217, an act relating to criminal offense assault weapons.
So this is a bill that's introduced by Representative Knight. It's House Bill 7217. This act bans the possession, sale, and transfer of assault weapons. So similarly, this would result in possession of assault weapons owned on the effective date of this act is grandfathered in, subject to certain registration provisions, but the violations are punishable by a fine of up to $10,000 or up to 10 years in prison. And this act takes effect upon passage. So this would essentially ban assault weapons in the state of Rhode Island, with the exception of those that are grandfathered in. Discussion?
I am a very strong proponent for us getting these guns safe and off the streets. If we're gonna keep them, they need to be safe. If we're gonna keep them, I think there need to be tough laws to deter people from not doing what they're supposed to do. Too many of our children are getting killed and murdered on the streets. Too many people are, just being gunned down, going into grocery stores, the church, the movie theater. You have it, then, they're getting gunned down. And then they're all ages, all races, all everything. And it needs to stop. So I know 10 years sounds like a lot, but losing a loved one is 10 years, it doesn't sound like enough. So
Beautifully said.
I make a motion that we,
Councilor Royce, thank you.
I would just say, before I second this, is that I'm gonna continue to strive to get F rating by the NRA. So I will absolutely second this.
yes.
Great, thank you. So motion made to approve to the entire city council, as a body, by Councilor Graves, seconded by Councilor Royce. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 7.
Item number 7, resolution endorsing and urging passage by the General Assembly of House Bill 2024 H-7981, an act relating to towns and cities zoning ordinances.
So this is introduced by Representative Geraldo. It's House Bill 7981. This act amends provisions related to permitted uses within residential, industrial, and commercial zoning use districts. It aims to facilitate the conversion of commercial buildings into residential units or mixed-use developments in commercial zone areas. So the purpose and the intent is to allow for these conversions to happen more seamlessly, to build more housing units. And it introduces provisions for adaptive reuse, allowing for the conversion of existing commercial structures into residential units or mixed-use developments, and this would take effect on January 1st of 2025.
Another thing that I'm at. So yes, I think this is something that we need. There's a lot of buildings that are sitting empty. And we could use, we all know that housing is, we're all in dire straits in every community. People need a place to live.
Absolutely. And this does make a huge difference when the council as a body unanimously transmits these resolutions up to the General Assembly. Also, us being the capital city, that does have an impact on some of this legislation at the State House. So it sounds like we've got a motion to approve from Councilor Graves, seconded by.
Second, and every time this Councilwoman Graves speaks, I'm just gonna start saying amen.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing. So seconded by Councilor Royce. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 8.
Item number 8, resolution endorsing an urgent passage by the General Assembly of House Bill 2024 H-7977, a House resolution creating a special legislative commission to study the ability of the Rhode Island educational system to offer degree or certificate programs within the state to provide a supply and pipeline of planners, planning technicians, and planning staff.
Great. So this is introduced by the Speaker of the House, House Speaker Sukarchi. This is House Bill 7977. This resolution creates an 11-member, or this bill creates an 11-member special legislative study commission to study the ability of the Rhode Island educational system to offer degree or certificate programs within the state to provide a supply and pipeline of planners, planning technicians, and planning staff that can help with some of the affordability and just general housing issues across the state. The commission will report back to the House no later than January 1st, 2025, and its life would expire on January 30th, 2025. So this is essentially to figure out how the educational system can provide additional supports to create and confer these degree or certificate programs to create more of a pipeline of planners that can help in all cities and towns. We've been hearing that this has been an issue for a lot of cities and towns. They don't have the bandwidth to change their regulations with regard to zoning laws, because believe it or not, some of these planning departments are one person or they don't even have staff. And so this would help to alleviate some of those pressures and concerns that local cities and towns are facing with regard to some of our zoning plans.
Yeah.
Yes.
Chair, I've also heard recent dialogue that there's not too many institutions here in the state that focus on urban planning.
Mhm.
You know, so folks have to look elsewhere. So it'd be good to just nurture that here in the state, which I think this commission is trying to do, right? Correct?
Yes, absolutely. And I would say, you know, the best people to have these kinds of jobs are people who really understand the nuances of planning, zoning, and development, and understand their local communities. So creating that pipeline of folks who can give back to their communities and contribute to the planning and the development of their local communities is critical. So I think this is a no-brainer, but that's just my piece.
You know what I also heard, this might not be exactly related to this, but there's, I think, a proposal out there, we might get wind of it shortly, is that, so you might know this, but there's maybe legislation out there that's being floated where it can allow cities and towns to combine their planning board and zoning board, or to get like a quorum, because often they stall because there's not a quorum. So I don't know if you've heard of anything like that. But
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, it's been floated out there. I thought it was really interesting and pragmatic. So
Yeah, and I think a lot of these laws are being introduced precisely for that reason, to make sure that housing development is able to move forward, and local communities and towns are able to continue to facilitate these processes, given the lack of bandwidth across the state.
Motion to approve?
Motion to approve by Councilor Royus,
Second.
seconded by Councilor Graves. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The next, item number 9.
Item number 9, resolution endorsing and urging passage by the General Assembly of House Bill 2024 H-8000 and Senate Bill 2024 S-2752, an act relating to state affairs and government, reduced housing rent pilot program.
So I was getting ahead of myself because I was excited, but this is introduced by Representative Morales. It's House Bill 8000, and then Senate Bill 2752 is the companion bill up at the Senate. So this act establishes the funds and incentive program for landlords to offer reduced rents to eligible tenants. This program would be administered by the State Department of Housing with an appropriation of $3 million for fiscal year 2024 to 2025, and this act will take effect upon passage. So it's to provide essentially rent relief to eligible tenants, and it's an incentive program that would help alleviate some of the challenges that folks are experiencing across the state with regards to our housing crisis, but also our affordability crisis.
This is a great idea. I'm a little concerned about this 1 year stuff. I think they should be trying to make it a line item. Because what ends up happening is they help people out for that short term, but if those people's situations don't change, the very next year they're getting evicted or they're going through the same thing, because they're not getting the relief from, so I think it's a good idea. I just wish that it was a stronger statement. I think instead of, I know that you need to have a pilot. Everybody wants to have a pilot program. The only thing wrong with the pilot program for me is if it's really working and it helps that small little amount of people, but then they don't take it on anymore, then you're back on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. The sustainability piece is so critical to something like this. And I know with the rep here, the impetus is to really create sort of a pilot program that they can build on. I know the other piece is a lot of that ARPA funding, both at the city level, but also at the state level, is completely dried up. So there was a lot of relief around, evictions. There was a lot of relief for, seniors who are getting priced out and those kinds of things. And I'm assuming that this is more of a stopgap, but to your point, how sustainable will it be for the long term? But I think it's a short-term stopgap to at least think about fiscal year 2024 and 2025, and I hope that eventually they'll build other ways.
When I first read this, I thought, like, this is sort of like a rent relief program. But I'm curious because now I'm not reading it that way, because it's an incentive program for landlords to offer reduced rents, right? If it's a rent relief program, we're not really incentivizing them to reduce their rent. So is this different than a rent relief program? You know what I'm saying? Like it says incentive program. What are they incentivizing? How are they incentivizing landlords to reduce rent? And is it $3 million that's being allocated just for promotion and maybe administrative costs associated with it?
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that. So that's something that we could certainly talk to the sponsor about. It does say an incentive program for landlords to offer reduced rents. I don't know how that would happen administratively, or what incentives exactly they would provide to incentivize the landlord to reduce rents. But I'm sure that's something that we can look into further if folks don't feel comfortable maybe moving on it tonight.
I trust Rep. Morales, and it sounds like a wonderful program. It is something I'd be trying to understand more in the coming days, but I trust that this is going to be good for both landlords and tenants, so I'm happy to not install this and motion to.
Absolutely, and I know Rep. Morales has been a real champion for these issues, so. At face value, I've skimmed through some of this legislation. I can tell you, what the details are off the top of my head, or how the State Department of Housing intends to administer this, but I think it's well intentioned, and it's ultimately a bill that will help people.
Yeah.
So,
And get you to another year, and maybe somebody else can come up with something else, so we can come up with some type of. I won't say that word, everybody gets all upset when I keep saying rent control, but whatever way we want to word it, we can come up with something. So at least you get another year. $3 million sounds like a lot. But it's really not as much as you think it is, when you look at all the rents and how many people need the help, so.
and if you consider the need, it's more of a drop in the bucket.
Yes, yes. So I agree, I would move on it because of something, Sometimes, a little is better than nothing at all.
Mm-hmm. And so can I take that as a motion from someone, or motion to approve by Councilor Royce?
And I,
Seconded by Councilor Graves. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 10.
Item number 10, resolution endorsing and urging passage by the General Assembly of House Bill 2024 H-7726, an act relating to education, health, and safety of pupils.
So this is one that we've had a lot of conversations about in our council chamber. It's House Bill 7726. This act would require specific actions and procedures that a public school district and the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education follow as part of their proposal to phase out, merge, or close a public school. This act would take effect upon passage and create more transparency whenever there is a proposal to phase out, merge, or close a school across the state. And I don't want to preach the choir, but we've experienced this firsthand here, so.
I make a motion that we, support this.
We're gonna second and third.
Nice. So motion made by Councilor Graves.
Motion to approve?
Yes, motion to approve, excuse me, and then seconded and third by Councilor Royce. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 11.
Item 11, resolution in support of House Resolution 2024 H-7774, joint resolution making an appropriation of 78 million to the Rhode Island Transit Authority.
Okay, so this is House Bill 7774. This resolution authorizes the appropriation of the sum of $78 million to Rhode Island Public Transit Authority. I just want to state for the record, great minds think alike, so I know I put in a resolution for this, and Councilor Peterson put in a resolution for this, like at the exact same time, and I said, here, you just put in your resolution, and I want to thank Councilor Peterson for really taking the lead on this and for her leadership, and we've heard it loud and clear, RIPTA is not funded to the level that it should be funded And as you know, that disproportionately affects, communities of color, folks who are disabled, folks who are just trying to get to their job, folks who are just trying to get to a doctor's appointment. And I know that the state is strapped for cash, but this is an important investment, not only in our economy, but the people who rely on public transportation to get to where they need to be. So, I hope that we can support this, but of course, want to open it up to discussion and would love to hear everyone's thoughts.
I don't think we really need a discussion on this one either, because I think, again, you're singing to the choir here. If anything, it might need a little bit more, because they're still talking about, cutting routes and shortening, times, and all these other things, and we all know that the bridge being closed, a lot of people know how to take that trip over there. There are more people getting on buses that never would have gotten on before.
Yeah.
So the need is greater now than it was before.
Mm.
So, I make the motion.
I'll, of course, second, and I'll say this, yeah, to Councilwoman's point, 78 is probably not, we probably need more. I just think it's criminal that we are at this point where we are desperately, needing to fund public transit in this state. It's just, what are we doing? It's unbelievable that we're at this point. We have to find a sustainable funding source every year that's gonna allow us to improve transit. As a related note, but not just so I can be on record, is like, I'm also in opposition of moving Kennedy Plaza, moving the bus station. Just, I think I know the commentary out there is that we should move this. Well, what we really have to be honest about is that folks making these decisions just want to move poor folks out Kennedy Plaza, because it makes them uncomfortable. So, I think that's also pretty important. I think as a council, we ought to be more vocal about the latter as well.
That's a good point. I mean, considering the amount of funding that is being proposed for, let's say, the removal of the bus stop from Kennedy Plaza, we can seemingly find the money to do those things, but we're not finding the money to fund public transportation. And we've got to do something about this. A lot of our constituents rely on public transportation. As a capital city, I think we could put our stake in the ground and say, we need to fund public transportation. If you look at our neighbors, Massachusetts, Connecticut, they are spending significantly more on public transportation than Rhode Island. So this is an opportunity for us to lead. And I know there's a lot of considerations when it comes to their budget, but I couldn't think of something that is arguably more important. We talk a lot about housing, which is very important. And I think, public transportation rises to that level. There's so many people who rely on it. So I want to thank you all for your comments on this, and is there a motion to?
I think we made the motion. No, I just want to say that I agree with you 100% about them trying to move it. First of all, it's even more than that. Kennedy Plaza is the center of the city. It belongs to everyone. It's not a person, it's not on Smith Hill, it's not over on each side, it's in the center of the city. So people feel like this belongs to me, this is, part of my city. When you go up those hills, you're going into a different community. So you're going into different sides of town. So there's a different mindset when you come down. That's like when they move that festival, the PBS Fest. You fail to realize that the thing that brings us all together in the city is the fact that we believe that we all have a stake in the city. That is, we have our own little community, but the city belongs to all of us, or it should, and moving it somewhere else is taking that away. And you're making it somebody else's community, and now that causes friction. So we don't need that. We already talked about the guns, so we don't need anything to cause any frictions.
Well, I'm gonna do what, Councilor Williams suggested, I'm gonna say amen. So, motion to approve by Councilor Graves, seconded by Councilor Royas, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it, seeing that there is no further business on this, docket, can someone make a motion to adjourn?
I really want to spend more time with you all, but motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Motion to adjourn by Councilor Royas, seconded by Councilor Graves. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Ally, thank you for joining us. Sorry this wasn't a public hearing, but we appreciate you coming tonight. Thanks again.